I just want to say welcome to Action Reloaded. It's awesome to have you here, Eric. Um, First of all, I just want to say congratulations on the release of Founders Day. It's a like a fun throwback nostalgic slasher movie. Um, I'm gonna take a stab in the dark and guess you're a fan of the genre.
Yeah, for sure.
What would be your favorite go-to slasher movie?
I would be reticent to fight and say Scream was very, very formative for us. But I think what we draw on is the way that it made us feel as opposed to trying to copy beats necessarily, but just that sense of mischief and fun that has. And then I found my way into the Halloweens and a couple of the Friday. I enjoyed the whole Friday series. I just rewatched it. There are a couple that really stick out. I love Halloween H2O. There's something about those late 90s, early 2000s slashers that I particularly like.
Some of the one and dones that were in the 90s as well were really good. For instance, Valentine, do you remember it? David Boreanaz.
I watched it for the first time last year and I had a
It's
great time
brilliant, isn't
watching
it?
it. Yeah.
So you guys as well, are no stranger when it comes to you and your brother, obviously. Are no stranger when it comes to the horror genre. You done 10 Minutes to Midnight, which you got to work with Scream Queen Caroline Williams. What was that like?
She's a force of nature and she came ready to play and was, I mean, my God, I just so apt to be crawling around the floor of an empty radio station in a small town at 3 o'clock in the morning for a week. She was uh, force of nature is definitely the way to put it. Yeah.
And then when it came to Founders Day, there's a big political twist on it. What inspired you to write the story? Was it just the way the current sort of state is when it comes to elections and all, or has this been just a story that's been brewing and adapted over time?
I think it started as a love letter to autumn and small town life, and then a kind of a satire with both dark and silly elements of small town life, and that found its way as it developed over many years into finding the local politics angle, which we think is a really fun backdrop just to um, create comedy and conflict with the people within that town.
And then you also make every character have a flaw. Like no character in the movie's perfect, and that's what I like.
Good.
Was
Yeah,
that intentional?
everybody kind of uniquely sucks in their own way for the most part. But I think that, um, some might be you might align with more than others. But I think the idea is that there's a lot of people in this town that are driven by ego in different ways. Um, and they're using the systems within the town in order to position themselves in a way that feeds that ego. And then there are a few folks like the teacher, Mr. Jackson, like Allison Chambers, our final girl, her dad, who are kind of in the middle of all this chaos of people trying to inflate their egos, and that that at the cross section of a killer in town is kind of the premise.
Really hard to talk about the movie without actually giving away spoilers or slight plot lines, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd love to have spoiler conversations on it, but there certainly are quite a few twists and turns of plot throughout. We worked backwards when writing it. We knew what the thing was going to be, and so everything that came beforehand was just kind of in support of that. So we were kind of like building the dominoes backwards, I guess.
And then most importantly, you've got your killer. How did you come up with the like design of the mask and the weapon? Because that's what makes every killer unique. You know, you've got Jason, the hockey mask, the machete. You've got the Michael Myers, which is the Captain Kirk mask and the butcher knife.
If Carson were here, he'd say we really wanted it to be unique, distinct, but not gimmicky. So we wanted to have something that felt there's a degree of familiarity, but also felt uniquely ours. I think it's really hard to make an icon nowadays, just with the way that culture is and the way movies are consumed, but we still wanted to do our best to make something that felt striking and like there was a presence. And so linking it with the founding fathers without being like a full Uncle Sam getup felt like a natural thing. The mask is a comedy tragedy mask that's kind of uncannily fused together. So if you look on this side, he's upset, and if you look on this side, he's happy, and that kind of plays into the political theater part of the whole thing. And then we thought of the gavel, which actually I have right here. So it has it, and having the piece of it. It's a surprise in the movie, but I'll tell you the switchblade that comes up, which we thought was really, really fun. Come on,
Yeah,
there it goes.
very inventive. Would this be a movie you would plan to revisit, or for you, is it just one and done, move on to the next?
We wrote it for sure as a self-contained story, saying things that we wanted to say and having a certain kind of fun that felt very specific to this world. But we've been asked that question more and more through like the festival circuit and as we've been rolling this out, and it's helped us plant some seeds of ideas. So certainly if the opportunity ever presented itself, we know where we would go, and it wouldn't be a beat for beat kind of recreation sequel, but it would carry the spirit and um put it in a different environment, but still keep the intimacy and urgency of this one.
Because just like as we mentioned at the start, there, Scream, every movie is separate, but then it kind of interconnects with previous ones. There's always a relation to the main character, and always a motive to, well, supposed to go on a killing spree.
Yeah, I I enjoy these, self-contained mysteries, but that still harken back to things that you know before because I like having a longer I like being part of a fandom that has a longer relationship with things, but I also enjoy that, stories can be complete in and of themselves too.
You know what I really liked as well is you managed to get the balance of the characters right. Like the characters felt very sort of realistic. You don't have like the standard goody goody, the bad person. Every character has their moment where you're like, "Oh, they're not so perfect." And then you had the murder mystery bit going on, which I thought was really good. Um, and it played out well. And it did actually take me until the final moments, and I was like, ah, I got it. And then I was like,
Good.
do I
That's
have it?
great.
Yeah,
That's awesome. That's
yeah.
part of the fun of the whole thing too, is is figuring it out along the way or having a really strong guess and maybe getting bits of it, but not getting other bits of it. But yeah, we wanted the ensemble to be everybody has a little streak of selfishness, but you also have empathy for them too, because while sometimes they might, you know, be the aggressor, sometimes they're the victim of somebody else's aggression. So seeing what that tapestry looks like was really fun. And we wanted to make a world where it felt like everybody in the town either knew each other or knew of each other and had an opinion, so that really anybody and anything was fair game.
And the character of Peterson as well. Um, was there a bit of Kojak going on there?
There was, and that came with her. Originally the part was written kind of as an older 70s Robert Forster kind of type. And then Carson, we had known Kathy, who plays the part beautifully, and he was like, what if we took a different approach? What if we did like Kathy? And I was like, oh my God, that's so good. Like you make her like a female Chief Wiggum or whatever. And we didn't really change much in the script, little bits and pieces to make it work. But we really gave it to her as it was. And then she and I talked, and she brought this Kojak Columbo old detective show obsession thing to it to make her this kind of quirky, slightly askew woman. And I think it's so cool that it evolved into that.
It works so well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean it's I think it's a really, really great discovery. And it was just so fun finding things with her.
And the best bit about Founders Day is, man, a slasher movie, which is my favorite sort of horror movie, and the kills. The slasher movies, I think, always have the best kills. So was it fun creating all these kills? And on the flip side of that, was there also ones that kills you had like come up with that were really cool, but they just didn't fit with the movie, so you sort of had to scrap them, but you're like, I'm going to use that again someday.
Yeah, it was. I mean, we put it as far as we could within the time that we had for sure. I mean, I love getting creative with this stuff, but also having it make sense within the realm of the story because there's a reason that a kill is happening at a certain time, and trying to keep it within the realm of general reality while adding movie spectacle to it. So we had a lot of fun making those, and you always wish you had more time and you whatever to get more shots or to extend a sequence. But um, I'm very proud of what we were able to make with these. And like you said, if you ever get a chance to revisit it, we certainly have some fun extended sequences that would fit into this world. But I like that they're all kind of varied in this movie as much as they can be.
And would you find it sort of hard yourself because you direct the movie, you star in the movie, and you wrote the movie? They're like three of the main things you can do. What's it like having all that responsibility on you?
I really enjoy it. I'm used to it. I've been doing it for a while, and I grew up acting primarily, and that extended into the writing and directing. And so the acting, I think, helps me with actor communication, with understanding what it is to be from the inside out. Um, and it allows me to modify and work with actors. So if a line doesn't feel right, I'm able to change it, help them change it on the day, direct them into making it work. Because I'm in a scene with them, I can collaborate them as actors and director at the same time. I can set a tone and a pace that I think makes sense for the writing and the directing by being within the scene and kind of leading the charge with how I'm delivering my lines. So for me, especially because the support system is there and my brother is glued to monitor pretty much always, but especially when I'm on camera and the department heads and crew that we work with. There's a lot of trust there um, that it's kind of all part of the greater voice and my musculature. So I really enjoy kind of being a hybrid.
And you're becoming very known in the horror circuit. Like all your horror movies so far, they're striking the chord and the right chords at that. Is horror the genre you think you'll stay in, or would you like to vary into like action, sci-fi, drama?
Yeah, I love bits and pieces of everything in the career. I mean, we have like a romantic musical dramedy coming out like this year. I did a little Christmas movie. I've done like kind of a drama, sexy thriller before too. And I enjoy all of these worlds and I like hybrids too. So I think it's fun to be able to take like just a little genre edge in everything that you do just to make it something that people really want to lean into. But exploring all of those things um are really, really definitely of interest to me. But I like having the genre, a little bit of a genre streak in these because I like making movies and Carson likes making movies that you want to watch with a group or that you'd want to rent at Blockbuster or something when you were 12 years old on a Friday night.
What was the most challenging thing about putting Founders Day together? Would it have been like budget, time, or location?
I think you always want more time, and when you're juggling a cast as large as this one and the amount of locations that we had, it's a huge effort to make sure everything lines up because one thing shifts and a lot of other things may have to shift. There was one day where we had a big montage scene that we were going to do, a big crime scene thing with cop cars coming in, and it was going to downpour. And we said, okay, we're just going to do it. And it is the best decision we ever made. So what could have been like the biggest challenge turned into the greatest thing because it added so much production value to the point that like we couldn't, like even if we had brought in a rain machine, we would not have been able to get what we got. And it just looks so cool and so appropriate thematically with what's happening in the movie. So sometimes the challenges become the biggest success story of the movie.
And this borderline spoilery, but what would be your favorite scene from the movie?
Hmm. There are moments in certain scenes. I like when people laugh unexpectedly. There's a moment I want a body is discovered at one point, and Catherine Curtin as the commissioner has a line. And when I watch that, whenever I've seen that in a group setting, uh, it always hits, and people unexpectedly find it hilarious for the most part. And I don't want to jinx it, so knock on wood that continues. But I like that, and I think it's fun when people are so invested in it and you hear a gasp at a reveal or an I knew it. I mean that those are so much fun. Um, and I really like our end credits too.
I definitely think you've got the hit on your hands here for sure. And once the movie had ended, I found myself thinking, you know what? I could go again. I could rewatch, but I'd like a sequel. Very much
Well,
so. Would like a sequel.
I hope for I hope for my sake and yours that that we can do it because we certainly have some ideas and a new like setting for it that I think would be really fun.
And the weapon is iconic. Whoever come up with that is genius.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. We were like, what is it going to be? A gavel with a switchblade, and we had it fabricated for us, and it's yeah, I love it.
The mask as well. I don't know, there was something about it that just looked like very Tom Savini or something.
Yeah, yeah. We wanted to feel we always have one foot in yesterday and one foot in today, and so we wanted nostalgic, but not tired.
But once like the whole hype and the run of Founders Day is settled, what's next for you and Carson?
We have a few things that we have in the hopper in various stages and writing and conversations. So we'll see. We'll see which way the compass points based on how this all goes. But we have a few things that we're really excited about and keeping our fingers crossed about. And then the romantic dramedy movie I mentioned, it's called Intermedium. That's a little different genre, but I think if people, folks might get a kick out of it. It's like Casper, not the 90s movie Casper, the Ghost meets like La La Land. So that's very different than Founders Day, but that's what we got soon after.
Well, I think you are the guys to maybe create the perfect Christmas horror movie this year. We
Oh,
haven't had yeah, we haven't
I
had
would
one
I would do that. I would do it. I'll do these. I'll keep going with like a holiday Christmas movie. That'd be fun.
you know, a candy cane sharpened. I think it
Deadly.
could work. I think it could work.
Perfect.
Eric, man, it's been amazing chatting to you. I really, really enjoyed Founders Day. Has to be, it's the first horror movie I've watched of 2024, and you set the bar. You
Thanks,
set the
man.
yeah.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, there's not really many slasher movies these days that can balance the character, the story, and the murder mystery, right? And you guys have nailed that and hit that on the head.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot. That's the goal. Just to live in all those worlds.
Well, fingers crossed we do get a sequel. Because the killer as well was so iconic, and as I said, the weapon was badass, and you just need more of that in my life.
Yeah, I agree. I could use more of it in mine.
Eric, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you for coming to chat with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, man. Back at you. I appreciate it.
Take care and best of luck with the movie.
Thank you very much.